They met with the neighborhood.
All right, good deal. Number three is,
I'm good with number 3 as well, Mr. President. They met with the neighborhood.
all right, good. Number
Yes, sir.
4.
We're going to carry it over
Ms.
again.
Johnson, you gonna carry that over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 5.
That's another carryover.
Carry that over too, okay.
Hey, which one we getting sued on right
I don't know.
now? Open your package.
Open your package.
Open your mail.
Well, I hadn't got that mail. Didn't see the.
I got, all right, number 6. This guy wrote us all a letter now, and
That's
he's,
the one we're getting sued. That's
Number
the
6, I spoke with him yesterday and today. They're right next door to a church, literally. You can open the door, so they are outside. They're inside of the bounds or outside of bounds where they can get an alcohol license. So
They
we'll go
okay?
ahead and no, I'm going to deny that one.
you gonna deny it?
Yes.
Okay, you gotta give it the old convenience store, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean it's set up nice. I went through it. They'll do good with food on Madison Avenue, but just no alcohol.
Okay, number 7. Failure to pay administrative fees. We'll ask the finance department about that, if they gotten any money out of it. I don't see any finance people here.
Yeah,
I guess not, okay.
fire department will be here, I guess, won't they, Charlie?
Oh, this is on the fire department.
I don't know. And the mayor's list.
Yeah, okay, they haven't paid the fire fine? Okay, we'll see. All right, number 8. Number 8,
That's that's from Jeremy with the mayor's office.
It's
That's a proposal to change the
Jeremy,
Jeremy, is Chris or Jeremy?
talk to
here?
us about
That's
number
Chris.
8. This is your change of your garbage fees.
Chris, somebody.
Chris knows more.
Yes, I'll speak to it.
Okay.
Chris is here, but I'll speak to it because it's convenient. I'll just happen to be standing here.
So, in 10 words or less, what's synopsis on this deal?
So on this particular one, this is just the rescission of the moratorium on bagging leaves during the months of October through April 15th. And then the other piece of it is just changing a minor change to the language on picking up curbside trash that is not within the purview of things that we pick up for free. So we're talking about anything like appliances, stoves, mattresses, anything along those lines. We changed it from $20 per item to just having it open up to $180 for an entire load, but it may be less than that to the citizen,
Okay.
depending on what it is.
So get some specific rules on what
Yes,
we're doing.
sir.
Okay. And that's the only change we got.
Yes, sir. That's the only change we have on that as of now.
Works good, because if you bag those leaves, sure saves a lot of time.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Reed. I think Chris, go ahead.
I see Chris,
One go before 5.
Okay. Why are we so cheap? Because even 180 is dirt cheap for a guy that's renting a house out, and and the renter moves out and he piles it all on the street and we pick it up. I don't think we should be obligated to pick that up for him. I'm sorry, but we should not.
Mr. Grimes, I'm working on something. I should have it before our next council meeting, where if someone is renting a home and, like they get evicted and they put it all out in the yard, and we're going to require that those people that's leasing those properties have a dumpster out there or something to put that stuff in.
That's the
Good
remedy.
idea.
Yes, so it'll be separate from this.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was gonna say 180 for
Mr.
just
Conway, you
a
got
old
something to
little
add?
lady who get rid of a dresser or some mattresses ain't the same as somebody
Mr.
renting out
Conway.
their property, so,
No.
yeah.
you got
Mr.
something to add?
Grimes, I would add that is per load, the 180.
Yeah.
So if it was multiple truckloads, that would be additive. So that is it is a potential significant increase when it was just maybe $25 per item. We're still giving ourselves the leeway if it is something very minor, something that we can almost pick up on our regular route, but it's not, included in your fee. And then also, there was one other ad about the disposal of household contents from eviction proceedings, requiring that be containerized as well.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I have one question. So what are the consequences if those individuals do not put those leaves in bags? Mr. Conway?
Blow all over the street.
well, it would be similar consequences what we would have today. because it is such a new thing for us and for the citizenry, what we would foresee is that over the first year, it would be more of a kind of getting used to period or whatever, where we let them know, hey, this is a new thing we're doing. We expect probably 85% compliance, and probably 15-20% are still going to not comply, as they don't comply with a lot of things that we do now. Our practice would be to go ahead and pick that up, but with the added notice that that is not going to be acceptable as we move forward, and then it would fall into that same pickup mentality of, if it was exceeding the 4 feet in length, if it was exceeding the 8 inches in diameter, it would not be something that would be picked up, but it would be something that would be an additional charge to them based on that per truckload charge.
Okay.
Chris, I have a question. How are you as a department, or how are we as the city, Jeremy, going to alert the customers that this change has happened? Is there an education piece on this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So once you all approve it, then we will not, it won't be effective immediately. We will give a grace period as we get that word out through our communications team and director. Social media, we're even talking about doing a mailer flyer to all the residents so they understand what the rules are. So it's going to be in numerous places. Social media, a card mailer, and then we will try to get it out through our various media outlets, the advertiser, and different television stations, local television stations.
Most likely, we would be able to put that in their water bill where they are billed for that service, so that notice would go into that to each of the customers.
Okay, thank you.
As a frame of reference, we're going to work the plan as we did during COVID, when things continued to change and we had to continue to update the public. We'll use that same mechanism.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 9 is Glenn's issue with the Calmar, and I'm going to let Glenn handle it.
Mr. President, I do want to speak on this in the work session, if we don't mind.
Number 9.
Number 9. I would like for us to actually have a meeting, because I know we think that we have X amount of money that's just laying around, but I think a lot of that has already been allocated, and I want to see where we pulling this money for. So I would love to sit down with, I think the county has pulled out, but I would love to sit down with Thrive to see, because I'm a visual
They
person.
probably can tell you that right now.
I'm a visual person, so I like to see
Did you
it
say
in
the
front of
county,
me.
did you say the county done pulled out?
For the community centers.
And yes, that's right. I also want y'all to know, some of y'all probably know already, but the county removed their community center funding and used it for individual, much like your Montgomery Thrive Fund. So originally there was $13 million for community centers in what y'all originally did. The county took 5 and gave it out in a Thrive Fund situation. And so right now there's $6.5 million in community center money where there was 13. And then there was another resolution for Councillor Pruitt that's $385,000 for Calmar that was passed early on. So that's where you are on your community center money.
From the ARPA dollars.
From the ARPA dollars,
there
that's
is
right.
another
Not the bond money, but just the ARPA dollars.
Let me ask you a question. Do the counties, are they still in on the bike trails or not?
They are still in their trail stuff. They have not moved. It was just their community center money. They took almost all of their they took $5 million of their community center money and gave it to each $1 million to each commissioner.
So is that where they got money for the water park?
Sort of. They did a swap with some funds. So some of it came from, well, really their whole, they did not allocate phase 3. When y'all allocated some money in phase 3, they didn't allocate all of the things that y'all allocated in phase 3. So they had about $5 million that was unallocated, and they used that $5 million of unallocated money for that, and then swapped it out with some budget money and the community centers, and so that was a $10 million swap. So they had $5 million for Whitewater and $5 million for their individual commissioners, and that was taken from the community centers and their unallocated funds.
Can we do a synopsis of that and give it to council members?
I can.
So everybody know what you
Because
just
Yeah.
said?
I can send y'all-
I'm concerned that if we voted for those items, but they're not voting, then it's not fully funded, then do we need to reconsider some of those items as well?
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
And Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I asked for a meeting, Mr. President, because a lot of stuff that we don't have in front of us. And I just think that we need to have a meeting, sit down with Levitate.
I hear you, but let's get a synopsis of what she just said to us, so we'll know what we're talking about.
Now, I do think that, based off what she just said, though, Councilor Mitchell, this money that, for this, project,
Should be available.
we have enough for that, but I don't know if that's still an issue that you feel like we need to wait on, but I think we definitely have enough to, because that Calamar project's been out there a long time. Those people came down, expressed how important it is to their community. I do think if we can do anything to push it through as a council, it would be beneficial for that community. I just know I'm always asking for stuff for my community, and to see another community show up kind of with that same outcry. I know you are too, because you've been talking about community center over there as well, but I just don't want to hinder them, and we done did groundbreaking and everything, and we just back at square one over and over again on it, so. But I don't know, it is, I mean, it's up to the council on that, that's just my opinion.
And only thing I just want to see on paper, where are we pulling this money from?
That's good
What
enough.
would be
I think you
effective?
just told you that.
I think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's very much fair.
Good deal.
I'm happy to do that.
Do that for us, and then I think that'll help us make a decision.
Mr. President, while Ms. Susan Kennedy is up here, I'd like for you to do a resolution for our next council meeting for $5 million for the Whitewater project for the discussion with the council. I guess when we're doing that, we can have that meeting on Calamar and the things that we want to do, because we're talking about moving money, as Ms. Graham said, that's not been allocated, so we can figure out what we're going to do with what these funds that we have later.
That's right.
We
And
considering giving Whitewater $5 million more dollars? 1.5 million? 5 million?
That one, I need
Additional
community
money?
center update.
Outside of what we already gave them?
So, and this is, I appreciate Councilor Pruitt, asking me for a resolution and then me preparing one. I never want y'all to think that I'm deciding anything. I do what y'all ask me to do, and, Councilor Calhoun is asking me to do sort of a similar resolution as the county had. It will require some revenue swaps out of the main budget. So I think Ms. Betty needs to be involved in that as well, because Whitewater, in our opinion, is not a qualified or compliant expense. And so you have to swap out compliant expenses in the budget with ARPA money. And that's that's okay. The rules say that we can do that, and we probably will have to do it on the sewer, because we need to free up that money outside of the dates that are the restrictive dates. So, I mean, this is okay to do that, but I think it might require a little bit more explanation and a little bit more talking to
I
Ms.
think
Betty.
Ms. Betty Beeville should be in this meeting when we're talking about all this.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Let's get it lined up so we can do all that, okay?
And then,
Hold on.
Will we meet before the next council meeting, or will we meet like at the next
We need to
council?
go closed session
We do.
and just talk back there
Because
by
a lot of
ourselves.
things
Can you
have
get us a
changed.
Without
date
any sales
when you
people.
can- Yeah, can
Sounds
you get us
great.
a date that you can?
Absolutely.
meet
I'll
up with
send
us?
a poll around and we'll get y'all a date.
Yeah, we got 2
Susan,
weeks
don't-
between next meeting.
Don't leave yet.
Okay.
Don't leave, Charlie, because I'm getting in on the tail end of this thing. I'm sorry. So they pulled out of community centers is what I
That
understand.
didn't affect you.
That 750, they're still half of that 750 that they're.
We
committed to.
allocated, the 750 was not changed. It was the remainder of their community center money. So they are 385
Okay.
is what they put in at the county, and the city has put in 385. Those resolutions were not changed.
Okay, now, out of the million that I'm asking for today, out of the ARPA money, from my understanding, there was $10 to $13 million in a pot for community centers that has not been allocated to anything or any project yet.
Well, the county took their 5 of that 13 and allocated it to to each commissioner, $1 million to each commissioner. And they did that at their October meeting.
So there's $8 million that is in a pot of money.
I'll tell you exactly what's
Ballpark.
left. I'll tell you exactly what's left. So their 6.5 was the city's part, right? It
Okay.
totaled 13 total. So 6.5 was the city's side. The county, the Calmar Community Center is still in their 385, and their money, but
Right.
then they reallocated the rest of it to revenue loss and basically used 5 million, one for each commissioner. So that leaves us with really just the city's money.
And that is
And that is-
7 million, 6 million?
No, it's 6.5 minus the 385 for the first Calmar resolution,
So
right?
6 million, okay,
So 6
ballpark.
million, and then, and that is your remaining community center money for all community
That
centers.
6, does that include the million that's on the table today?
It does not.
It does not. So there would be 5 after that 1 million.
That's correct.
All right, let me share this with the council. We purchased this project, the city of Montgomery purchased this project, or, excuse me, this property 7 years ago, ballpark, give or take a year. We have kicked this can down the road. Now the price has doubled. I understand from some people, I'll just say, that the reason we have not started our fire station on Fairview because the price has doubled. It is what it is. We have kicked it for so long. This is money that we need to finish up this project
Get it over with, yeah.
and
So,
be done with it.
so Councilman Pruitt.
Yes, sir.
So I want to be cautious as we say it's doubled in price, because I think some of the numbers we're working off of are, how can I say this nicely? The numbers we're working off of are from a partial estimate. The other part of it is the city is doing some of the work. So this won't be a straight bidded contract.
Right.
As in construction. So what we've already done, and Kippy Tate and his team, we've gone out and got it and requesting a full estimate on what that project will cost. The second part of that is we need to line item what the city is going to do and then back those costs out. So the actual overspend may not be $1 million. It may be $300 million. So
300,000.
Go ahead.
300,000, not 300 million.
Yeah, 300,000. You're right.
I was like, dang! 6.2 last time.
$300,000.
All right, but let me ask you this. If we go ahead and do the money and the money that we don't spend, can it not be put back into the account? Because listen, here's at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. 2 years ago, we stopped this project. We could build the Taj Mahal in 2 years. I mean, it's actually
Ridiculous.
absurd. Guys, when we stop and look at it, we're talking about a 5,000 square foot building. 2 years ago this January, we stopped.
Yeah.
And for good reason, but it should not take that long to get all of our ducks in a row.
Understood, but
They got a plan now to get it done.
Yeah, could you give us the next council meeting to give you the real numbers? That
Okay.
way we can make an informed decision.
All right.
That's just my request to you, Councilman.
Okay.
Sounds good to
It's
me.
just very frustrating, though,
All right.
and I hope y'all feel the frustration.
We do.
This is,
Item number 10.
Councilman Pruitt, you are 100%
President.
correct. I mean, we had 5 community centers on the docket to do, and we had to make a decision not to do 2 of those 5. So now we're left with Sheridan Heights. What's the other one? Yeah, Kippy's gonna help out, but we made a decision to take that 5 community centers we were gonna do renovations on. Now that project is down to 3.
okay.
Councilman Pruitt, you're exactly right. 2 years ago, we stopped Calmar for good reason, as you mentioned. The dynamics of Calmar are as follows. As a matter of fact, I have a slide presentation, but I know you don't want to see that right now. But
Probably we might do, Kippy.
because he's got the numbers and
We
you can
got-
see it. If you can pull up what I just gave you not long ago, this will kind of break it down.
Any other way. So we need it.
But what's happening is conceptually, the city was going to do the work on Calmar.
Right.
And that was going to be around $1.10 million. The numbers will come up in a second. Thank you. And then after that, we designed the project. Some of the features of the building changed, and the city was still going to build the project. But what happened was the crews for the city, the employees retired. So the manpower that was available for the first concept was not available for the second concept, which in turn drove the price up a little bit because go all the way to the last slide. This will show
Now we
you.
gotta outsource it.
Now we got to outsource it. So here it is up here, gosh, it's maybe not as clear.
Can you put it on our screen, Mr. Man?
Hold on just a minute. Sorry, we're kind of disjointed, but I wasn't prepared to do this right this second, but we'll fix it.
You got it.
In the first column that you'll see, can you see it on your screen?
Yes, sir. We're good. We're good.
In the very left-hand column is what, as you see at the top, is the original. I can't see nothing. We'll get this right.
City forces.
So if you go all the way to the left-hand side in the left-hand block, that's how we started right there.
Okay, we're good.
All right, then, if you go to the middle block, this is what happened when I think Tom Pierce realized that he had a labor issue within his department, and they came up with a bid of an estimate of about $1.5 million for the project, doing it with partial crews, which left a deficit of about $343,000. What you see in the very far corner is, I think, where we are today. In the very far corner to the right, we see the orange or yellow blanks, depending on your screen. The construction cost needs to be bid now and get the actual cost for this project, and then we can fill in those blanks, because we are arbitrarily asking for some money tonight. I know, Glenn, you want $1 million, but we don't know at this point what the cost of this project is at this point in time. So once you fill in those blanks, particularly with the construction costs, it'll downfeed into those other columns and talk about what's required to fix the gap between the 1.1 million and whatever the cost of this project is. Now,
So you're saying you'd have those numbers by the November 7th meeting?
what I'm saying is we'll have those numbers by the November 7th meeting, but then we will need to, Tom Pierce and my group will need to get together and determine what that really means. We'll have the numbers, but inside of those numbers, Mr. Jenwright, will be cost that has to get pulled out.
Okay, well, my point is this: the council, the 7th meeting of the council is the last meeting of this council. Then all business dies, and it has to be brought up fresh, new, under the new council after November.
Yes, sir. Well, here's what I can say. When we talked to Jacobs and their team, this is where we're going to get the real numbers from. They needed about 3 weeks to get it done.
Okay.
Because they're going to actually pull.
So we're not going to make that November 7th.
Now that we're going to have some real numbers. But I do want to address one thing real quick, because it came up last meeting about the $6.2 million that we got an actual bid on, but that was from a bogus company. We did the research on those folks, and they were not actually a licensed contractor in the state of Alabama. So that we don't even need to talk about the 6.2. But what we need to talk about is the real cost for the project. And then do the magic, if you will, to make sure that Tom has the appropriate information to make a decision for Mr. Pruitt.
Okay, very
And
good.
Mr. Tate, hold on, Mr. Tate, Mr. Reed was saying that there were 5 that we were supposed to do, and we're only gonna do 3.
Oh, okay, I want to stop you, Councilman Graham.
I'm sorry?
I don't want to stop you, but I want to separate the conversation for 2 seconds.
Oh, I know you, I thought you were finished with Calamar.
Yes, right, okay, that's right.
Okay,
Now,
that's the reason why I waited.
if we're done with Calamar, then we're talking about another set of projects that's funded entirely different than what we're talking about with Councilman Field.
Absolutely.
Okay, now.
Okay, now can you tell us what those are, the 3 that we will do?
Okay, and now I'm gonna get Nick. Nick, are you here? Because we've got this worked out with the 2 separate projects, and this is Jacobs who we've hired.
He got us a placemat.
And he's got a placemat. There you go. So we want to do this a little bit more organized.
We do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We do. Thank you. Somebody just was pointing at the old placemat last night. TRC, Sheridan Heights. What's TRC?
Nick, you need one?
I'm sorry, and we don't have it electronically, but it is a good time to give an update. You can see on the top right of the placemat our schedule. We've gone through bidding 3 of the community centers. We're in the bid process of bidding TRC. The bids were coming in over budget. We bid Chisholm, Sheridan Heights, and Crump. All 3 of those community centers had 1 bidder. All 3 bids were over the announced available funding. 2 of those bidders were considered non-responsive. We went back to the drawing board. We got with the architects. We kind of worked on what's the best path forward. And this is what we've come up with, in our professional opinion and the architects, is reallocating that funding at this time from Chisholm and the Regency community centers to fully fund a project at Sheridan Heights, Crump, and TRC that the architects thought was worthwhile. It wasn't just paint on the walls, it was a full upgrade of the community center. So at this point, our path forward is we're in the process of negotiating, as allowed by state bid law, with a separate contractor for the upgrades at Sheridan Heights and Crump. That process is ongoing this week. We actually had a day-long meeting with them, and we hope to have those real numbers back by the end of this week so we can begin that contracting process for Sheridan Heights and Crump. We're already seeing benefits of that the costs are coming in lower quite a bit than what we bid. TRC is currently out for bid. We have a pre-bid meeting this week, and it'll bid, you can see, on October 26th. So that'll be our 3rd community center that we bid, and we'll have a better gauge of our funding that we have left after we negotiate the Sheridan Heights and Crump contract and bid TRC. At the same time, we're still moving forward with technology upgrades for all 5 of the community centers. We're trying to fund technology upgrades. You can see down in the bottom of the placemat, this is what our technology consultant has come up with these gaming concepts that we'd like to implement at all 5 community centers if possible. We're working with the architects for sure to implement that technology upgrades at the 3 that are trying to get under contract this month. So on the back, you can see the 3 remaining community centers. You can see a history, when we bid the jobs, who showed up for pre-bid, the bidders, the bid amount versus the budget, and then what remains in the scope for those 3. So our plan is to continue with those without a whole bunch of VE items and cut from scope that will significantly impact the value of those jobs. So that's a brief update on the Montgomery Forward Community Centers.
Thank you so much.
And I have a quick question, so are these 5 projects the only projects that we're going to focus on?
These are the 5 tier 1s. So we've advanced the complete design for tier 1. We have a whole separate tier of community centers that are owned by the city of Montgomery that we completed schematic design so we could get a cost and a concept. The plan was to try to get through the tier 1 community centers based on their utilization, how many people attend, and their priorities. Get through those and then try to fund eventually the tier 2 community centers. But we did advance design through schematic design for both tier 1 and tier 2.
Do you have a placemat or some kind of with the tier 1, 2, and 3 with you tonight? I know you gave it to
I had
us in
one. I
advance.
don't have one, just because they kind of evolved. But I can send you a previous version that we have that lists those tiers.
Councilman, yes, we have it. It's just from a prior submittal to you guys, but we can dig it up and send it to you. We don't have it tonight, but I know what you're asking. How were they originally lined up? Which ones went 1, 2, and 3? We do have that. We just don't have it tonight. So Nick, we'll be sure to get that over to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Nick, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
You said something about some people bidders were non-responsive.
Just missing forms that were required within the bid contract. It's a bid term considered non-responsive. I mean, it was over budget, but also non-responsive bid.
That's language that's in the public works law that the state has asked us to go, not asked us, but we're bound to go by. And you know, when you get non-responsive, means that they just didn't comply with some of the terms of the bid request.
Charlie, I have one more question.
Okay.
Kibby, do we have to rebid the Calmar out, or?
We don't. We don't have to rebid it out in a formal fashion. That was already done. But what we're doing is going through the same process, but getting the numbers crystal clear so that when the ask is made, we're coming from a solid foundation. It's not an arbitrary ask. We'll know what the numbers are.
Okay.
Right now, quite frankly, we're in an arbitrary world. We're kind of guessing at what it will be, what it won't be. But since everything's so tight, we'd rather come to you with something that's solid and comes from a place where these people know what they're doing. They can give us real numbers. Because up to this point, the bid numbers that we had, $6.2 million, we know that's crazy.
It was crazy.
It's crazy, and that was the only bidder. See, that's the problem.
Okay.
We don't know what the real numbers are until.
All right, let's move on.
And
Yes, sir.
real quick, it's $15 million we have allocated to do upgrades, right? Is that our total we kind of working with
Who you talking to?
for the Tippy Tate, Justin, that Thrive, that money? I mean, move forward, that.
Well, you know,
Wasn't it 15 million that we allocated?
For which one? For the
Well, actually, all that money came out about a $30 million.
13.
And a good bit of it went to the fire station.
Oh, the fire station was in this 13 million?
No, ma'am.
It was in the bond money.
Oh, I know, okay.
Of the bigger bond piece.
You know what we had.
Okay. All right, moving right along. Item number 10. Glenn, you okay with that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 11. Number 11.
I'm good with it.
You okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay. And number 12 and 13 are tear them down and public nuisance. I've got two people who want to speak to us on the work session roster, then I want to go into executive session on a new business coming to town. And John Dow, I don't see John Dow here. John Dow was going to speak to us on the Clean City Commission. John Dow now is the head of the Clean City Commission.
The new director.
All right, the Neighborhood Services?
Neighborhood service.
That's it, okay. All right. That's right. And then Bill, Mr. Bill, Mr. Think Big, you got something you want to say today? And after he speaks, we'll adjourn to an executive session on new business. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make an announcement, and that is Think Big Montgomery Incorporated is going to be the name of my organization going forward. I've been here for 33 years, and for 33 years, I've never had my own organization and board.
Well, good for you.
And we're going to do that and move forward because at a time in the history of this city where a 14-year-old would take a gun and shoot his 17-year-old brother, it tells all of us that we need Think Big, and we need to start it as early as the child comes out of the mother's womb.
Good deal.
So just announcing that Think Big Montgomery Incorporated is the real deal, and it's coming forth the next time you will hear from the chairman of the board.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Big. Okay,
Mr. President.
Council, I want to go into executive session.
Mr.
Anybody got
President.
anything else they want to talk about before we go?
One more
Yes,
thing
sir.
to talk about, Mr. President.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mitchell.
I just passed out, and I wanted to discuss it in the work session, just passed out a political science ordinance. Mike, if you can kind of put those pictures up and just, we talk about as politicians that we want to keep the city clean, the streets clean, but I want to give you some examples of what we are seeing here in the city of Montgomery. You got me, Mike?
I ride past them. I know what you're talking about. Still ride past.
Yep. I agree with this 100%.
I got mine up my own self. Either here or there.
That should be a
I ain't got a full-time job.
I 100% agree with you. I ain't mad at that.
Do what?
Cause this song still out from 3 years ago.
You got it, Mike?
Later than
Do I need to resend it to you, Mike?
It's still out there.
Please bear with me, Mr. President. Waiting on Mike.
I hear you. We may not have an executive session.
Mike, go. We started. We got it, Mike.
That's what I'm talking
Can you just put it up on, so council, he said he can't put it up, but if you can kind of look back in the election, you know, not picking on any individual, but I think all of us.
Oh, yeah. It's there.
That's what the city goes around and pick up just from.
Yep.
That's the city
You
being.
don't see no Calhoun signs, right?
No,
My
Johnson,
people do it. You don't see no Mitchell.
Hey, you see any Mitchell?
You see Pruitt signs? You still got some on the table. You get them. You still got some on the table. Pick them up. Spell.
You got a lot of different signs there, yeah. I don't think it's got that many.
Start putting a ticket on it.
Which one is it?
Right. Lord. Spend a lot of money on signs, didn't you?
Councilman Mitchell, when they took the pictures, did they take the signs down afterward?
No, sir.
Oh, they just took the picture.
They just took the pictures.
Hey, it's illegal to remove somebody else's sign.
And I just want to make sure as politicians, when we run for these positions, we run on keeping the city clean, and we must be the example.
Yes, sir.
So just like we pay people to put them out, we need to pay people to pick them up. And that's the only thing that I'm asking for on this ordinance.
Thank you, sir.
One other thing before we go in executive session. Chip,
Yes, sir.
I have had a request for several people in town. Apparently, there's 41 pieces of property that are ready to be sold, and the council needs to come in front of the council. And it's somewhere up there close to you, okay?
Okay.
Please, you look for it and see if you can find, I know there's been some work done on that, and we need to address that.
41 pieces of property?
41 abandoned pieces of property in town need to be sold, okay? They're ready to be sold. I know one in my district it's a third of an acre, okay? Very small piece of property. Check on it for me, please, okay? Okay, we're gonna go into executive session for a economic development issue we're gonna work on, so.
I need a motion.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Mrs. City Attorney, is this compliance?
I believe so. I haven't been contacted by anybody, but I understand it's under A7.
A7?
Yes.
Mr. President, will we reconvene this meeting? Mr. President, will we reconvene the meeting?
No, we will not. We'll come back, hope we get back in time for the regular meeting. Okay, let's go. Go back.